So yeah, it's really nice to be here and meet you guys for the first time. I thought it was probably about time that I met some people who actually knew about Meteor. So that's why I'm here. And what I wanted to do is really just tell you about what we've been doing with our online courses and Meteor. So we basically developed an online series of courses, some of which use Meteor, and they're running on the Coursera platform. So I'm just going to try and give you an insight into how that happened and what's in the courses. And I might try and run 6 demos at the end if I'm feeling brave. Okay, just because there haven't been enough, right? Right. So that's that. So who am I? I'm Matthew, amongst other things, and I work at Goldsmiths, which is based in New Cross. It's a college at the University of London, and it's a great place to work. It's a very sort of creative place. Did anybody go to Goldsmiths? Oh, wicked, yeah, okay. Yeah, cool, more Goldsmithians, brilliant, right. Hang on a minute. No. Did I teach you? No. So I've been there for quite a while, but I've also got a sort of past life as a musician. And if anyone's heard of Aphex Twin, that's me. No, only kidding. No, he's a bit taller than me. He had a record label called Reflex, and before I became at the same time as I became a web developer, I released a record on his album years ago and didn't make any money, so I thought I'd get a proper job, and here I am. It's really interesting hearing all these kind of server-side rendering, all that, because the first sort of serious web application I built was when I was working at Bristol University on a research project, and we were working with deaf people, and we needed to build a platform that could deliver video to a whole range of devices because 3G was just about to come out. It was supposed to come out during the project, but it never did, which kind of ruined the project. But hey, we only saw 3G a couple of times in the project because we used to visit Sony Ericsson in their Spanish headquarters at the time, and 3G just about worked in the room that they put us in, right? So this was in 2002, I guess, and so we were trying to deliver video to Nokia 3650s. Remember those? First Nokia phone that could deal with half decent video, and so we were kind of streaming video onto these things, and we did server-side rendering using XSLT. And remember that? Yes. Yeah, and Apache struts. Yeah. So we built it all in that. So it was quite. So I've been doing this stuff for a while, and so I think what I bring to the teaching this course in Meteor is that kind of long-range perspective, maybe. So enough about that. I'm just going to kind of introduce the various pieces of the puzzle, and then at the end, hopefully, you'll understand everything about what we're doing, everything in the world. It's quite a long talk. Right. So what is Goldsmiths? Yeah, it's a place where we teach people stuff, but it's also, it's kind of mostly famous for being a fine art college where in the 80s lots of the young British artists, kind of Damien Hirst and all that, went there, and they kind of made it quite famous. And but the Department of Computing in Goldsmiths is not Imperial, so it's quite different. Imperial is much more sort of serious computer science people who are really boring. No, I'm being videoed, I can't say that. Goldsmiths is more fun. We try and teach people computing in a different way, where we have a sort of creative perspective, so the focus is on building, audio-visual stuff, musical stuff, and so on, and that's kind of reflected in the way we try and teach it. And to some extent on the course, we've tried to make it a bit more playful. So what's the University of London International Programme? Why have I got a picture of people in the World War I trench? Well, because the University of London International Programme is the oldest, the most venerable distance learning programme in the world. And they were teaching soldiers in the trenches. They were giving them English degrees and stuff, right? So while they were kind of pulling their toes off with trench foot or whatever, they were sort of doing a University of London degree at the same time. But I tell you that because it's a really nice story, because they were there right at the beginning, and they're now sort of putting courses on Coursera, so they're kind of right at the bleeding edge. So it's cool. I like that. And they've got a whole range of courses, computing and everything courses. It's a bit of an advert. You can do a London School of Economics degree on there, for example. So there's people all over the world taking these courses. And so so that back in 2012, people started talking a lot about MOOCs. Who's heard of MOOCs? Who's done a MOOC? Who's dropped out of a MOOC? Come on, we've all done it. We've all enrolled and dropped out, surely. Right, I certainly have a few. That's how it goes, because you kind of go on, it's free, and you kind of go, yeah, I really want to know that. I want to be the person that knows that. And then you kind of suddenly run out of time and you fall behind. So that was 2012 when Coursera was founded, I think. And they had a slightly different model, so they hooked up with loads of different universities, and they started pooling courses from universities all over the world, and they've gradually grown their sort of partner base, if you like. And University of London were one of them, and we're a college of that, so that's our connection with them. And we, specialisation, I'll come back to that. And we ran the first English MOOC in 2013 at Goldsmiths, little Goldsmiths in New Cross. We did the first English MOOC, so we're really proud of that. And it was in creative computing. And we taught people how to program in processing and make things that look like 808s and drum machines. And this might be a video, actually. We're lucky. Yeah. No, not one that's going to play, though. That's no chance. Anyway, that's a video of some stuff moving around. And it looks cool. And a student made it on our course. So we got people to, we gave them all these libraries that could, with Red Audio API, so they could run graphics on their phones and all that. People said things like this: best course ever. Would you believe what you can do right now? Knowledge is power. This is good, right? This is the kind of stuff you get when you do a MOOC, because it's a big, wide net you cast out, and you get all these crazy, interesting people who come in and take your course, and you empower them, and that's part of the really positive thing. And there's all these business models behind it, which we could talk about maybe, but I think that's the nice message, really, is that you feel like you're kind of putting this information out there. And so the latest kind of model, so these are single courses, most of these, but the latest model they're using on Coursera is called a specialisation. So the idea is that instead of it just being one course, maybe a 4-week course or a 6-week course, you chain a set of courses together, and it's more like a mini degree. I think edX call them nano degrees, but Coursera, competitor, they call it a specialisation. So I'm going to call it that because that's who I work with. And so our one is, how did it work? Let's jump ahead a bit. So the opportunity was, we'd already done this MOOC before. First time we ran it, actually 110,000 people enrolled on it, which was insane. Considering how many people I teach, in a typical first year, everyone's learning programming course in Goldsmiths, 200 people, right? 100,000 people, 200 people. And so through my entire teaching career, I'd never see that many people learning to code. So that's the mad scale of these things. One. Me, yeah. No, it's about, I think about 10,000 finished that, actually, which is still, you put them all in a room together, it's quite, put them all in a forum and get them a bit annoyed because you give them something fiddly to do. It's great fun. So yeah, it was really funny. I can tell you stories, but so we got them to all install the Android SDK. These are people just learning how to write a couple of lines of code. So bad move. Third time we ran it, we got rid of that and just went full Web Audio API. But anyway, that's another story. I'm not talking about that. It's nothing to do with Meteor, which is what you want to know about. So the opportunity was 150 grand to make a specialisation about full stack web development. And I thought, hey, I know lots about that. And we've just done this course 2 years running, and it was really successful. We've got a good chance of pitching for this. But it was an international kind of competition. So the money's from Coursera. They're going to fund you. But it's like a record deal. You have to pay it back, unfortunately. But still, it gives you the upfront cash so you can basically get the videos made, and you can really put some staff time into it and do a proper high-quality course. And that's the idea. They really wanted people to just make some really high-quality courses and dump them all on their platform, and so and get do a big marketing push. So we pitched for it, and we won the pitch. And part of it was because we were using Meteor. Why did we choose Meteor? So I've done a lot of teaching. I've taught lots of different, Java, JavaScript, PHP, whatever, loads of web languages, and I've taught a bit of C and what have you. I've taught all kinds of languages and different platforms and everything. So I looked at it with that kind of eye, not is it going to scale or whatever. It was more like, okay, if I'm just, because it was a beginner course, so it was to, to take you from beginning to building full stack web apps. I thought, yeah, look at these features, it's awesome. Full stack, JavaScript, Mongo, all the kind of, cool things. Isomorphic, that was a new one for me. So it's isomorphic, but that's cool as well because it means you've got one code base. You don't have to teach them another language. You don't have to teach them a server-side language as well. And we could have done Node.js, but you get the developer kit, right? It's all in there. It's all baked in. So you just install it and then off they go. They're ready to develop and test things on their own local machine, which is again a big tick. Meteor deploy, another big tick. So the problem with running an online course is, I mean, if we were teaching web programming on campus, we'd just give them a bit of space on our department machine, our department server, and they sort of dump files in the public HTML file and it just works, it's okay, and we can do. But if you've got 100,000 people, you can't provide them all with a little bit of server space. Meteor deploy was a huge bonus because it meant that we could do, because this is, I'll talk a bit more about the assessment later, but we do peer assessment, so they have to basically write an app or something and mark each other's apps and so this was made, and I didn't want people downloading zip files of code that didn't work and having to dig around in people's code and all that nonsense. I just wanted, because we've all dropped out of a MOOC because it's kind of quite a lot of hard work and we're all busy, but we'd quite like to learn it, so you've got to make that a really smooth thing. You want a meaningful assessment that's quick to do. So being able to just drop a link in there and say, right, test it for these features, and then off they go. They can mark it pretty fast. That's the idea. So Meteor deploy is brilliant for that. And brilliant community as well, as it turns out. And the packages are great as well. So lots of reasons. And so how did the project come together? I've got some pictures coming up in a minute, so don't worry, it's not all endless bullet point lists and my droning voice, so you should be able to stay awake. So May, pitched and won. June, visited Coursera HQ, that was fun. Went to Mountain View and visited them, and I thought Mountain View would be more exciting. I thought there'd be drones flying around and all this stuff going on, but it was like, we went in a pub and it was kind of, I sort of prefer London, so I'm going back there. No, I don't. Silicon Valley's great, but if you've been there, you know what I'm saying, right? It's kind of, because everybody's working so hard, I think maybe there are these bursts of madness that happened. I didn't see any of them while I was there, because we were working really hard as well, So we really got that vibe. We got in at 8 a.m. They fed us breakfast. We worked. They fed us lunch. We worked. They fed us dinner. We staggered home. That was my Silicon Valley experience. So it was really cool and tiring, and I learned a lot. And also, we went to San Francisco while we were there, thinking, let's go. There was a Meteor meetup, so we thought, let's go down there. And it turns out that all the Meteor crew were over here, doing a meetup here at the time. So it's a shame. All in London, where I live. September, the first course launches. So we did all this video filming. I think there's like 200 videos on there or something. They're all about 10 minutes or less. And so that was part of the training when we visited Coursera. They've got a really data-driven approach to doing education. They've got, I think, 20 million users, something like that. No, or is it 200 million? I can't remember. They've got a ludicrous number of users for an education platform. And so then these people are pouring through the courses all the time. So they know what kind of video, how long should a video be if you want to maximize the number of people who watch all of it. When should you put the questions in to maximise, keeping people engaged, stopping them from dropping out. So they've got all this brilliant best practice, which I didn't know about because it's all been derived from their data, and it's super smart, really interesting finding out about all that. So we tried to build our course kind of around these best principles. That was the idea. And then the first one came out in September. So it's quite a lot of work. So we did things like, every video there would be a little set of questions at the end, just because they said that will just get people, that will keep them coming back. So we did lots of questions, had to make loads and loads of questions. I'll talk about the structure in a minute. So the instructors, so I tried to pull a team. I wanted to work with different people in the department, so I pulled a team together. That's me, Mick Garrison. He's just a very inspiring guy, and I really wanted to get him on board because he was I did the creative programming MOOC with these guys, Marco, Mick and me, and it was just great fun and a good team. So I thought I'd work with these guys. And Kate I really wanted to work with because she was kind of teaching our web programming stuff already. And James I wanted to work with because he's done some spin outs. He did a company called Winkball, which was a big sort of video sharing thing. And yeah, so he kind of had that more sort of what happens when it scales, more sort of industrial sort of perspective. Okay. God, it's a bit dull, sorry. Okay, so the course structure, so 6 courses. So it actually starts out with just HTML and CSS and a touch of JavaScript. Then we increase the JavaScript and complexity slightly. So it's for beginners. And then on course 3, we give them Meteor. So they know JavaScript already. They hopefully, if they've done the previous 2, or you can just jump straight in there if you want to. And then that's a slightly more advanced Meteor course. And then this one, it has, these are the demos. So 1 demo, 2 demo, and 6 demos, because this one has 4 different, it's 4 weeks long. Each week you do a different, very quickly build an app, in the sort of Meteor style. I realised that was the vibe, so yeah, let's do that. And the sort of style of teaching is kind of live coding. You hack the code. In fact, I just came from the national sort of live coding research network at the Somerset House today, because I'm really into live coding as well. I mean, as a commercial, not a commercial break, but a sort of my voice break. Let's see if I can pull up my embarrassing YouTube profile. Probably David Bowie from my daughter, who's become obsessed. Right. I mean, me, I watch it all day. Right, hang on. Just as a sort of little... yeah, so live coding. I really like live coding. That's what it... So the idea that, you hack your code. It's what it's like, it's what we do. So, that's my friend Finn. He's a serious player. He played with... forgotten their names. Anyway, Amy Winehouse. Yeah, he played with her band at one point. He's a serious player, but he likes experimenting. So I'm kind of writing code and it's making music. That's live coding. So when teaching, we try and do that. Furious coding. Let me jump. It's a good bit later on. Yeah. Yeah, it gets a bit better. Okay. I'm going off track now. I'm going to go back on track. Okay, so so I've just to stop you from having to stare at me all the time. I did that. We made this connection with some of the Meteor guys, Robert Dickert and Nick Coe, and they sent me a T-shirt, which I'll show you. You've already seen it though. Somebody else was wearing it. There you go. Look, they sent me a nice T-shirt. So I was really happy. I got a T-shirt and swag, as you call it, and I got a mug as well. Have you seen those? Yeah, I got one of those. Yeah, stickers, that kind of stuff. I was fully branded up. It was good. I didn't wear it on the videos. I was really tempted to crack out the Meteor T-shirt at the end, but I didn't. Chickened out. Okay, so these guys, but they've been really helpful and they've helped us connect with the Meteor community. And actually, we've tried to get some people to come in and answer some questions in the forums on the course to help people out. And we've now deployed our final module, which is like a project module where they work on their own project for 6 weeks. And we're trying to get some support going there. So if anyone wants to, is interested in answering questions about it, that's another place where you can do it in our forums.
When you say our forums,
yeah.
you mean Coursera or Goldsmiths?
Yeah, Coursera's so within the course. So there, for example, there might be a video about publish and subscribe, and underneath there might be some questions. It rolls over every month, so it kind of resets, and then you get a new set of questions. But yeah, it is. It's weird. Yeah, and it's going for 3 years. It will run for 3 years. So part of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try and get down here when I can and find out what's happening so I can keep the course up to date. Because they just launched Meteor 1.2 just after we'd kind of finished filming, but it hasn't destroyed any of our examples, luckily. With the original, with the creative programming course, what happened is we were working in processing version 1, and they released processing 2 like the day before our course launched, and it just broke all of our code. And it was a disaster. And now they've released Meteor Processing 3, and it's broken it all again. But that's how it goes. You've got to be ready for that. Okay. So just a quick run through what the courses are. So this one's about English breakfasts and cheese and crazy synthesizers. This is what you build. I mean, so the reason we build this kind of image sharing app is that we'd built that in the previous 2 courses. So it's like a gentle introduction. They already knew all the code behind it. And then we show them how to build it in the Meteor way. So it's kind of, it's not the most exciting app, but it's logical because they've already seen, they're beginners. It fits in with what they've seen before. In the next module, there's a slightly more exciting app, but I'll show you it anyway. Yep. So this is all the code, all Git hub. Let's have a look. Week 4. So this is just one of the apps we build in the sort of, this is the sort of introductory Meteor course. And I'm not sure how long I'm supposed to talk for. Shall I just sort of carry on to the end of the slides? There's only, yeah. Okay. If you all get bored, just tell me to just pull me off, that kind of thing, whatever. So yeah, you just build this kind of simple sort of reactive data-driven image sharing app, and I don't know. You can look at food and all that stuff. So yeah, it's dead simple, but it's more sort of showing the mechanisms behind it in a sort of familiar example which they'd built in the previous 2 courses. And it's sort of responsive grid layout with Bootstrap as well to show them all that stuff. So it does all that. Yeah, so that's the first course. You basically see that built line by line over 4 weeks. With every little reason for everything, and so you really know why all that stuff's gone in there and how it's all working. In the second course, we had a cool idea, which was, hey, let's build a live coding environment. I'm glad I showed you the live coding video. Now you know what it is. So this, but it was live coding for HTML in this instance. Again, a bit kind of, they knew about HTML, so sort of take them to the next level with HTML, that you can write HTML and have it rendered. Let's see if I can run this one. About 3. No, one more. Yeah, week 4. Yeah. Apparently underneath the Mac operating system, there's some Unix going on here. Oh, it's probably, is it gonna, yeah, you can't reload that well. It's all right, because I'm trying to access a root on the old thing. Right. Yeah, I promised 6 demos. I'm going to give you 6 demos. All right, let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so this is a kind of live coding code editor. So you can type code in the left, if you can type, and it appears on the right. That's great. Okay, that's kind of interesting, but not as interesting as this. If you go into this with, if we were on the same network, we could all go on here. I think we are. Yeah, and then you can kind of collaboratively edit it. Okay, so I can go in here, and you'll see, using the kind of reactive thing. So it's a sort of collaborative, Google Docs for code, basically. So we show line by line how to build this. We thought that'd be a nice example. And we've actually gone on and developed this into a new thing, which I'm going to show you at the end, because it's something nice to leave on, rather than showing you now. But we've kind of now trying to turn that into a proper system, which we're going to use for our teaching with our students. And possibly going to use it in the first 2 courses on the MOOC as well, so that people can use this to practice their HTML and stuff, which is nice. So we won't tell them they're going to build it later. They just suddenly, this looks familiar. Yeah, okay. No, now I've got to run 4 demos. Okay, here we go. So this is, I brought Mick did this course. So those first 2 courses, it's just me. This one Mick Grierson did, because I knew Mick would just come up with some really cool examples that are really out there and would get people buzzing about the kind of stuff you could do with reactive data and collaborative stuff and so on. And also he knows what people would tend to get paid for, especially if they're freelancers. So the first one he did was a sort of blogging system, portfolio blogging system. Yeah, you know what a blog looks like. It's got posts on it. And so we showed you how to do that. These ones, so this is, it's called Music Machine 2015 because we did a music machine in the previous course. That's only for the, people in the know, which is about 10,000, as I think we said earlier. Then 10,000 people know that reference. Then full stack MOOC 5. Yeah, here we go. Right, so let's see the music machine, which I think is week 2. Yeah, here we go. So this is a sort of collaborative kind of drum machine thing, or sort of music. It's dead simple, actually. Whoa, nasty. Okay. Okay. Okay, so you can kind of do that, and then this one's playing it as well. That's why I've got it's sort of doubling up, and then you can. What can you do? Okay, so it's a kind of collaborative sort of DJing app or something like that, right? But just showing how you can do it with Meteor. So it's a kind of the idea being that it's a kind of fun product at the end that's not too complicated, that you can see how it's been built, but it still uses some of the tricks you can use with reactive data and stuff. This one I like. This is a sort of collaborative drawing app. So it's like a graffiti thing. This is all in MOOC 5, by the way, but week 3. Yeah. Right. All right, so I can draw in one, and we could all be logged in, all drawing at the same time. So that's kind of fun. And this one uses that really well-known SVG manipulation library that people use for visualization that I've forgotten the name of. I was hoping I'd remember while I was explaining what it was. Help me out here. D3.js. Yeah, so so you're basically manipulating an SVG DOM while you're drawing. And it's all stored and back down to Mongo and all that jazz. And you can change the state and hopefully. I think I broke it. Oh no, here we go. Okay, so you get the idea. It's kind of a collaborative drawing app, so that's really, really cool. And it remembers the state, obviously, when you reload it. So maybe we can play with that later. Then the final one, I only did 5 demos, then is a data viz app using another visualization library called viz.js. So week 4, Go on, do a really impressive hot reload. No, completely different app. All right, so this one, it does a kind of, it crashes the browser, yeah. Doesn't like me resizing the browser, obviously. What is it doing? Yeah, what the hell is that? So what this is so this is a list of songs, Chubby Checker, The Twist, for example, and we've extracted a whole bunch of features for those songs, things like what tempo does it have, which key is it in, lots of typical sort of music information retrieval data, and then we plot it. And we're showing how you can kind of work with data files and import data and manipulate JSON and then push it over to a visualization library. So I think in here what we're doing is the size of the blob is the chord change rate. So how many times does it change chords? So you can see all the big ones are the ones where it's changing chords often, for example. And it's kind of an interactive visualization, so you can kind of pull things around. So that's quite nice. And so that's the final example he does. So as I say, the aim of that course was really to kind of inspire people to set them up for the final module, which is where they do their own project of their own devising. And yeah, some stats. This is for the very first course in the MOOC. So this is the one that's been running the longest. So it rolled out in September, and every month it rolls again. So that's, we've got 55,000, 25,000 active learners. I'm not sure why there's 36 there and 25 up there. People paying, actually most of them aren't paying, they're all getting it free because they've got this really nice open accessibility program where you can apply to have the certificate for free. Not a bad split for computing related, but it was much better on our creative coding course actually. It was nearly, I think it was like 60-40 or something. Continent, highest education level. So lots of people kind of maybe retraining or trying to add a bit of extra stuff to their CV. Yeah. We get lots of data. Don't need to talk about that. What's next? So we keep iterating the course. So we've got some budget left. We're going to make some new videos as, if suddenly they decide to remove Blaze from Meteor, it seems, and replace it with React, it's okay, we've got some money, we can make some new videos. Code Circle. I promised to show that. One last thing I wanted to finish on was this. So, oh no. So this is what we've turned that sort of live coding environment into. Let's try. Yeah, this is impressive. Anyone seen GSL SL Sandbox? Yeah, well, you can live code it collaboratively with other people. Cool, eh? But you can do anything, any JavaScript, works with processing.js, and yeah, it's pretty rad. So we're going to use that for teaching, and it's going to be on codecircle.com soon. Okay, so final slide. That's going to kill the bats. It's running really smooth, actually. It wasn't running very well earlier. Anyway, right, thanks for listening. That's where the course is. That's the Twitter thing. So yeah, thanks for listening. It's really nice to come and talk to you about all this, and I hope it was interesting. And any questions, ask now, or I'll be wandering around later. Yeah.
First.